Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm going to talk about what it's like to have a pregnant spouse when you're LGBT and you're dealing with other people, not necessarily just your wife. So in case you haven't seen the other videos, I have 3 kids of my own and my wife is pregnant. She is currently going to be 13 weeks tomorrow, and this is her first pregnancy. And this is our first time dealing with people and this whole situation. So we went to a fertility doctor for well over a year because our whole process has taken a while. It started off one way where I was supposed to carry and we were using my wife's eggs and a sperm donor, to now my wife is carrying her own eggs. And yes, of course we used a sperm donor because it's IVF. I could not carry because I had a hysterectomy. So the game has changed a little bit. I'm a veteran when it comes to having babies and my wife is not. So, and I'm really trying to catch on to how I'm supposed to play this role and how I'm the best at being supportive. I need to work on things every single day. Today I forgot her English muffin. It's always something. So anyways, we got really used to dealing with the fertility doctor's office where they're super supportive, super nice, open-minded. They know that you're married when you walk in there. They know who you are. They don't get your names confused. And they're just super awesome. Now we just started going to an OB office. Now I'm not going to say any names. I don't want to give any bad reviews or anything like that. I just want to kind of help educate the masses, because when you work in the medical profession and you deal with people of all walks of life, it's kind of your duty to educate yourself on everything. So that way you can provide the best service possible, because truly it is your mission in a medical professional's office to provide the best care possible. And that includes the way that you treat them, not just the way that you treat their symptoms, if that makes sense. So when I went to set up this appointment, I had to have everything, sent from the fertility doctor to the OB. I also had to answer a bunch of questions and fill them in on everything. And when I called and tried to set all this up, I feel like I had to tell this young lady probably 5 or 6 times that my wife was pregnant. We used IVF, and the last menstrual cycle did not apply. The transfer day was the important number that she needed. It gets frustrating when you are trying to explain something several times over and over and over again to an adult who should be able to write shit down and say, oh, okay, so this form doesn't apply. We need a new form, or we need a new, option here, like other, check, and then fill in the information. So after she finally seemed to understand, we got our appointment set up, we went in, and then of course when we got there, the information still hadn't been passed along correctly, and the receptionist that we registered with was super nice, didn't have any issues with her, but when we got into the actual room, the nurse didn't understand that we were IVF, that I was the wife, and that the last menstrual cycle didn't apply. So when she walked us back, she thought that my wife was 8 weeks pregnant. She was in fact 12 weeks pregnant, and that does make a difference, so it's a little bit frustrating. And then of course, she still thought that my wife had gotten pregnant the old-fashioned way, which is intercourse, which isn't the case. So in the room, I tried my best to just keep smiling and explain, no, we're IVF. That's the transfer day, not the last menstrual cycle, and she's 12 weeks. So it was a little bit frustrating, and I could tell that the nurse could see the frustration on my face and hear it in my voice when I said it for like the 3rd time. And she finally was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go get the doctor and fill her in on everything. And it's just a little bit disheartening when, if you're a nurse, you should at least try to learn these things, especially if you work in an OB clinic. So when the doctor came in, she was very polite, very professional. She understood exactly what was going on. She totally got it. We had our, correct due date, correct gestational age or whatever. Everything was totally fine. However, I feel like when she walked into the room, my wife had to make it a point to introduce me as her wife, because She walked in and immediately ignored me and just spoke directly to my wife. And I don't know if that's how guys are treated or not. I don't know. Is that how husbands are treated at the OB? Please fill me in, because I never saw that. I mean, honestly, my ex-husband never came to appointments, so I didn't get to experience it. But after she introduced me, then she spoke to both of us. So I'm not 100% sure if she thought that I was the sister, the best friend, or if she just ignores spouses. I don't know. I'm not sure. But after that appointment, everything seemed to be fine until we had to schedule a specialty appointment, because we have heart conditions that are genetic for my wife, or possibly genetic, we're not sure. So yesterday I had to speak to the neonatal periodontologist, I believe it's pronounced, office, and the lady that I spoke to there, because she scheduled my wife for her 24th week, I was calling to reschedule it because she said she needed to see her in the 20th week of pregnancy, but my wife was at the gym when she spoke to her on the phone and couldn't really hear, and she was like, okay, yeah, date sounds good, I can be there, whatever. And she realized later on that, in fact, she was not going to be in her 20th week. She was going to be in her 24th week, and she didn't know if that was going to make a difference. So she was like, honey, I need you to call and figure this out. No problem. So I called, and the lady said, well, according to the notes, her last menstrual cycle was November 2nd. And I said, no, ma'am. That was her transfer day. We are IVF. That is my wife. You know, the last menstrual cycle doesn't really apply in this situation with IVF. It's when they transfer the embryos that matters. And I did say it in a nice way, because I believe in being polite to people, because what you give is what you're going to get back. And she was like, okay, well, when was her last menstrual cycle then? And I said, well, that really doesn't apply, because they manipulated it with hormones in order to make her get pregnant. So after a couple of minutes, and she was frustrated, I knew she could tell that I was getting frustrated, she finally said, okay, well, let me call the doctor's office that referred you, and I will call you back if you're right. Okay. So she called me back about 5 minutes later. Oh, you're so right. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I got the new due date, blah, blah, blah. And we set up the appointment, and she said in the notes that she got for the referral, it was wrong. And I understand that things weren't passed along correctly. But in that moment, I couldn't hold it in. I said, okay, well, I understand that the receptionist at that office didn't really get what IVF even was, so maybe that's why it was on there like that. And she blurted out, well, I don't really know what IVF is either, and neither does our nurse. So I'm sorry. And ignorance is not a fucking excuse when you work for a medical fucking professional. And on top of that, our OB even told us that heart problems are common with IVF babies. So if you work for somebody who deals with prenatal heart conditions, you should fucking know what IVF is and the difference between IVF and natural fertilization. I guess my point is that if you're gonna work in this type of setting, you should educate yourself on all the different ways that people become pregnant, because IVF is not just about LGBTQ. It's also straight couples. I know several couples actually that had to use IVF in order to conceive and have a child. So it isn't just about us. I'm just saying that this is our position, and it includes other people as well. So if you're going to work in that type of setting, you should just be educated on it. So that way you can provide the best care possible for everyone who comes in. That's just kind of being a decent human being, if you ask me. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Comment below on anything that you want to hear about. Have a great day, and I hope that everybody gets kind of at least a little more of an open mind from this. All right? Have a great day. Bye.